Hi there, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if you haven't been, a very warm but welcome, and I hope you stay all the way through the video and find this video very helpful. So I would like to apologize for not being here before for ages, which is over the summer months. I think last time I posted was either June or July, but I've been extremely busy with painting like crazy, and also holiday and family responsibilities. So I've been quite busy, but I'm so happy to be back, and I'm hoping to be a bit more frequent on my channel and upload better videos for you as I go along. So the autumn season is a great opportunity to show some fantastic footage of some paintings I created. And of course, nobody can resist paint some beautiful treasures of autumn, full of color, and the forest just blossoms. In England, where I live, there's so many woodlands, and they're just so beautiful. So in this video, I'm showing you clips of painting a toadstool that you see me painting right now. I painted the conker that you see on the left side, but unfortunately I didn't film it. I was enjoying it so much, I totally lost myself in it, and I didn't film it. But the toadstool, well, the mushroom I film, so you can see bits of how I'm going through the process of painting this very carefully. So on the top of the mushroom, I added some masking fluid to prevent those little white sections to get covered with the reds and the oranges that I will apply later on the video. And then after that, I will be removing the masking fluid and then play along with those white sections that are left behind to give them a little bit more texture and a little bit more depth. In this video, I'm also going to show you how I painted a beautiful poppy pod. Seed pod, and I couldn't resist but paint this. I love seeing these pods about at the end of the summer. They're different, and they almost look like a crown. Beautiful. So anyway, so this is going to be part 1, and then in part 2 you will see how I paint a rose hip. A very unusual rose hip, and I'm pretty sure it's a rose hip as far as I know. So anyway, I have other clips of me sailing that I thought you might find that interesting. Just a few little clips when me and my husband venture out on a little small boat. And I might be adding another painting there as well for you to see. So that's going to be part 2. But part 1, I also have some clips of me going for a venture in a woodland not far from here, from where I live, with a friend of mine and her lovely dog, Labrador. So we went and took loads of photos of lots of mushrooms and all these wonderful autumn treasures. We had a fantastic time. So I did show a little clip of this, so I hope you enjoyed that and follow all the way through till the end. I'm also using the opportunity to make workshops with this. I actually do in-person workshops in my local town, and this is an inspiration to help me create something that I can use on my workshops. and I thought I'd take the opportunity and film it and show it to yourselves and share it for you. So now you can see on the painting that I added that orange, and it was a red mixture of the red and Indian yellow. So I played with that. I placed the red in the plate and dissolved it a little bit with water, diluted it, sorry, to make it clearer, and then gradually build up that darkness and consistency. And the Indian yellow, which is a lovely, it's very orangey colour and it's quite strong, together makes a lovely mixture that I added on the edges. You can see now that's dried up, but I will go over again and over again, and remembering also that the top of the mushroom is still covered with masking fluid, so I haven't removed that. So around the stem or the trunk, I suppose it's a stem of the mushroom, I used sepia brown, which is like a very dark brown, to make those shadows, and the ridges of the stem, and playing with that from the bottom, pushing it up as well, pulling it up, sorry, to make that effect and show that it is all crevices on it, and also adding the shadow underneath the little skirts of the trunk. I like to say the little skirts. So you can see that I add a little bit more of that Windsor red on top, and it's still mixing it a little bit with the Indian yellow, which I add now around the edges of the mushroom. I'm very sorry if you can hear my voice is a little bit groggy. I have had COVID 3 weeks ago and I'm still recovering from it. So it's taking a long time and it's still affecting my voice. So so there we go. So we're adding now around, you can see the little skirt, you can see where that masking fluid is, where I'm missing those little gaps. I thought that'd be quite pretty to put that there. And I also added those little ferns and the twig and the moss. I love painting moss. It's so lovely. And for the moss I used sap green and a little bit of yellow. And for the soil that you see around and little twigs, I used sepia, which is, like I said, is a very dark brown. In parts of this painting, also where the shadows are, I used a bit of Payne's grey. And you don't have to, but I thought it needed to be darker here because it is underneath that top cap of the mushroom, and it just needs to be darker and to show those ridges a little bit better. So on the stem, the ridges are very thin, so you have to use a very thin brush to create these dimples. So to work with the shadows under the skirt as well, what I do is to make it softer, I apply the paint and then I use a little bit of the brush, clean the brush, damp brush, and go over that paint to spread it round so it's not so harsh and it does create a soft edge. So I do that also underneath the little skirts of the stem. Okay, so I didn't film the rest of the painting for this, but this is a photo, and unfortunately for some reason my camera just stopped working and I didn't realize. So now I'm going to start on the poppy pod, and for the poppy pod I added Windsor violet, and it's quite it does show a lot of Windsor violet on this reference photo, so I wanted to apply that first because it's a lighter color. So I apply that first. It's a violet colour and it's very transparent. So at this time I'm doing a very diluted solution and applying it quite carefully, paying attention to where the ridges are of the pod, so I don't put paint too much on there. But if I do, it doesn't matter because it is ever so light. So what I do is I just lift it a little bit with the damp clean brush as I go along. So I'm trying to make the side of the pods a little bit darker and just looking at my reference photo to help me where those dark sections are. So for this pod I used, like I said, the Windsor Violet, and also I use a yellow ochre, Payne's Grey for the shadows, and sepia as well. Then I've also added a little bit of green because there were some green sections there. I think that's about it, what I used for the painting. So very beautiful pod, and you'll see that as I go along. I'm very sorry if some parts of this section are blurry. Unfortunately, I had the phone above me, and it's a learning process, as you would know and understand, that creating videos is just doesn't always work the way you want to. But at the moment, because I'm still temporary in another room, I have the arm attached to the table, and of course when you're painting, unfortunately the table shakes a little bit. So it was creating and it wasn't too bad, but it was just making my video out of focus, and kept on focusing and out of focus. So anyway, soon enough you'll see that I changed the position and I used my camera over the painting in a different angle, and that one is much clearer, so you can see much better what I do. It's not too bad at the moment, and so I hope it's okay. So I'm creating shadows underneath, so you can see that little shadow, so it gives you an insinuation, and it has a ridge underneath that the base. So as you can see now, it's still a little bit blurry, I'm afraid, and it keeps on going out of focus and focus again. It's very annoying. Okay, so you can see now on the crown bit of the top, I used the yellow ochre, and I'm also using it on the stem. This little section between the stem and the base of the pod is, I used the sepia brown, and I was quite careful to leave little sections of it so it shows the highlights of that. But you'll see that in a minute, a little bit later on in this video. So there I'm looking at my reference photo, and I can see where this yellow ochre is supposed to be, and trying to leave some ridges, which I will work more and more, and it will become more 3D as I work more on this pod. So at the moment I'm just using a very watery consistency for the whole thing. The top of the crown was quite quirky, quite unusual. It had lots of indents and sections that you have to look very carefully at the reference photo to help you where those crevices are. And there's also a little bit of Windsor Violet on that little sections too. So I wanted to make sure that I use the paint that is there now will be the highlight of that crown. So you can see me adding now this dark consistency. I'm using at the moment violet, because I thought it would be better to start with violet first and then add the sepia, which is the brown, and I also use Payne's Grey to go even darker. So it's a matter of just playing along with it and just go light to dark slowly and work out a way that you are using limited amount of palette colors and try and keep it like a balance painting. So the violet that I'm using below, I'm using it in the crown as well, and the whole painting will look cohesive and beautiful. So creating layers as well and letting them dry in between, it makes your painting much fresher and crisp. So at this point I'm using size 1 brush, and it is, yes, it is a round brush. And you can go, I mean, I could have gone a little bit smaller with an even smaller brush for those little sections. So I'm using again the Winsor Violet around the ridge here to create that depth and to show that there's overlapping on top of the actual pod itself. Okay, so I'm going to put some music for you now, and I'm going to show you the clips of these beautiful woodland that we went to then. Okay, so we're back here again, and now you can see on a different angle, much clearer image of this beautiful poppy pod. So now I'm going over again, and I'm using the sepia brown on these dark sections. So you can see now that I've gone dark. I'm happy where these dark sections were. I can play with it and move it around a little bit more because now they are established pretty much where I want them to be. So as I go along, I'm adding a little bit more consistency, so this thicker is not so watery, but also pulling it a little bit on the edges where I want it to be lighter. So the paint is there already, so what I do is just damp the brush, dab it on the tissue so it's not too wet, and pull that paint a little bit on those edges that I want to distribute it just a little bit darker. So looking at my reference photo all the time to help me and guide me through each section. So I'm going to put some lovely music for you again, and I'll see you back towards the end. so we're coming close to the end of the video. Thank you very much for following this far, and I hope you enjoyed it and found it very helpful. This is, like I said, is the part 1, so there will be a part 2 that will be painting a rose hip and showing you clips of sailing, and hopefully I will add another painting in there too. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It will be very helpful. You will get notifications when I upload my new content, and give it a thumbs up if you have enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you soon. So thank you very much. Bye bye.